Hi, welcome to radio. I'm Reverend West.
I'm Reverend Paul.
And this is Prayers Radio, and this is our guest. Paul, introduce our friend here.
Reverend Dr. Bill Marchiony from New
There you
Thought
go.
Family Network.
See, I butchered his name when I first met you. So.
You're not the first. You're not the first. So, and thank you guys for having me.
Welcome, Bill.
And what an exciting, powerful opening you have there. I got scared.
Well, we are Prayers Radio, and we're all about prayer. Science of mind prayer. Ernest Holmes.
Affirmative prayer, right?
See, you always correct me on that. I like that. This is show number 33, and we have our wonderful guest. And would you like to pray us in, Bill?
I would absolutely like to pray us in. And in fact, I'm going to do, because I know that you do this, I'm going to give us an opening prayer that does not mention God. And this is actually one that's in my book, because it turns out that you can start a business meeting with a prayer or a spiritual mind treatment, but not tell anybody that's what it is, and sneak one in. And I have done that and had the best business meetings ever. And people will say afterwards, that was a great meeting, as though it was just like a coincidence. So if you want, you can be pious and you can close your eyes or go within, but you don't have to. You can be sitting there as though we're about to start the PowerPoint. As I remind you that we're here together for something wonderful. This is an exercise in excellence. Each of us has skills and strengths and knowledge. As we meet today, we're each bringing all of these gifts to this wonderful radio show, to this opportunity to share what we have in common. All of our diverse ideas and individual perspectives are already blending together. They continue to combine in ways that bring about great new ideas that go beyond what any of us can do on our own. Each voice is heard. Every good idea is welcome. We let the inspiration flow, and our success is greater than any of us have yet imagined. Each one listening to this broadcast is part of that creative exercise. We easily move past any idea that we're limited or constrained by what's happened before. Any individual requirements or specific agendas are easily incorporated. We're all working together and bring out the best ideas for what's possible now in this broadcast. I thank each one who's involved for his and her participation. Each one speaking, each one listening, each one understanding. I'm grateful for the willingness to stop and step up with enthusiasm to create something great. As this exercise in excellence begins, I already know it's a tremendous success. And so it is.
And so it is.
That was powerful, Bill. May I call you Bill?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's a great way to start a business meeting, because nobody says, nah, I don't think so. Like, oh, okay, this could be good.
Yeah, it's very stealth too. You can feel the power behind the words.
Yeah.
You were saying something about stealth prayer before. Is that the stealth prayer?
That's the stealth prayer.
Oh my gosh.
If you do a prayer without people knowing that it's a prayer, it's still a prayer. And it still follows the entire structure of like what I call a practical prayer, and Ernest Holmes called a spiritual mind treatment, and other people call different things. But if you include all of the elements and you open to an infinite power and identify that it's happening through whoever's local, then that's where the power lies. Throw some gratitude in towards the end, and bada bing.
Bada bing.
Well, Bill, I was going to ask you, your center is newthoughtphilly.org, which is in Philadelphia.
Yes.
And you also have another website. You can plug this. We do our plug at the end mainly, but b-the-light.com. I want to make sure that those dashes are in there, because if you read it over, you get a different site.
The dashes are important. Somebody else had bethelight.com without the dashes. It was a lighting company. It was Bethel Lighting Company. But,
I see the light. But go ahead, Paul. Do an introduction. Beyond that, just ask the questions away that you have, because I'm just going to say that I'm very interested in this, because you have a different way of looking at it than other centers, if you will, has, and it's refreshing. And I'm just telling our audience that, this is freeform, folks. So we're going to ask the crazy questions and have fun with it. But we're also going to ask our standard ones. So go ahead, if you would, Paul.
So, Bill, knowing your book, reading your book, everything that you have about prayer, what tangible results have you seen from prayer?
complete transformation of my life and transformation in the lives of the people who I've helped learn the prayer or done the prayer for. I mean, it is everything from career changes to wonderful shifts in prosperity. One of my favorite stories is about a young man. I think he was 18 or 19 when he first started coming to New Thought Philly with his parents. And he had always loved SEPTA, which is the regional transportation system in Philadelphia. And he wanted to be a driver for SEPTA. And he was driving for some commercial bus company. He didn't go to college. But so he wanted to work for SEPTA. So we did a prayer for him to have his perfect job at SEPTA. And after one prayer, we did it as a quick thing after the Sunday celebration, he got an interview. And he'd been talking to people at SEPTA before. He became their youngest bus driver when he got hired at SEPTA, and then drove buses for a while, and then drove trolleys for a while, and then started driving the subway. And he's now got his fourth dream job working for SEPTA, and that's continuing to go. And of course, as you hear, the magic happens and they get the perfect job, and then he's pining over a relationship, and he really wants to find a girl. And then, so we did some prayer for that. And now, a couple of years ago, I did their wedding, and they're very happily married. And the story continues to unfold as things get better and better and better for him. And we do a prayer and something changes. And then we don't have to do the prayer for that again. And we do a prayer for something different and that changes. So he's one of my favorite stories because it works so quickly and so variably.
That's powerful. Just
like
to know
that.
that thought within you is changing the thought within them.
Somebody's going to be the youngest bus driver at SEPTA. Might well be him.
Hey, how do you stay grounded in prayer when you're doing prayer?
I remind myself continuously and repeatedly that it's not me. Mm-hmm. It is not I, it's the Father within who doeth the work. By the way, Jesus, who gets a bad rap in some New Thought circles, actually said some really cool things.
Yeah. Like what?
Like that.
Like that.
All this I do, you can do and more. I mean, that's what he meant. So that's what we're doing.
Well, don't you know ye are gods? I think he also said so.
Yeah.
So can you explain to our listeners now when you said the Father within? Can you explain the Father within for yourself?
I have this ego identity of myself when I think of me and I think of myself, and we all do because our senses are set up that way, to perceive ourselves as being separate. Like I'm in here and the world is out there. And that reminder is that it's all one. We are all connected. That divine power and presence is everywhere, and it's within me as well. And I have as much access to it as anybody, anytime, anywhere.
Well, that's nice.
It goes back to that Bible thing that God is within, not without.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that. I was thinking of that when you said that, and I went, okay.
Yeah.
What about? Go ahead.
I love how Ernest Holmes said that, from the unseen, the seen.
Yeah.
So knowing that from within and without.
Yeah. You watch out. I'm going to get my Science of Mind teaching symbol and point to the soul.
Paul said, Paul, point to it.
Right up.
I see it. I see it now.
We always have fun with it. Find the ball.
So Reverend Bill, can you talk us through how you would begin your day with prayer orientation?
I begin my day actually when I wake up, I kind of do some prayer, reminding myself of the truth and the harmony and the wellness that I am. And that's sort of a reflexive thing. What I like to say is that practice makes practiced. And so by doing this all the time, I have a tendency to do it all the time. So it becomes sort of muscle memory. My actual practice first thing in the morning is called RPM. Rise, P, meditate. One of my teachers made that up and gave it to me. And I actually brush my teeth in the middle of it because otherwise after 15 minutes of meditation, I don't want to be with myself. But I do at least a 15-minute meditation every morning, usually in silence. Sometimes it's following a program or a teacher or affirmations. I started using Insight Timer, which is a wonderful app. I don't know if you're familiar with Insight Timer, that has thousands and thousands of recorded tracks. And it's also got a little timer. I do 15 minutes on Insight Timer every morning. And that's been going for close to 3,000 days in a row.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, practice makes practice. So,
Now, are you on Insight Timer? Do you?
I am. All of the prayers that are in the Practical Prayer book have been published on Insight Timer, so you can go in and I will read them to you, whisper them lovingly into your ear. And there are 40 of them in there. And I've done other meditations and different prayer tracks and stuff. A lot of my work during the pandemic went online. So I have huge amounts of recordings, and every once in a while I'll actually take one of them and put them on Insight Timer or do something with it. It's not because the content is necessarily better over here than it is over there. It's about my attention span and the time that I have to turn that into something. So the other thing that I do is part of my practice. We started this at the very beginning of the pandemic when everybody's world turned upside down. Started doing daily meditations online on Zoom, and anybody is welcome to join them. We have a meetup group that's Philly Spiritual Adventures, and that's the main way that people are finding us. So they go on to Meetup and say, oh, there's this little meditation that I can go to. And we do it at 8 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock in the evening, Eastern time, 5 days a week. And then a couple on the weekends. And so that is a practice that has gotten me into doing a group meditation a dozen times a week as well. So I am, and it's a very new thought. Meditation practice. We basically start with a little bit of an exercise and a visualization, do a couple of minutes in the quiet. And when we come out of the quiet, there's a practical prayer or a spiritual mind treatment.
And they can find that on your newthoughtphilly.org website?
You can find that on newthoughtphilly.org. You can actually, if you just Google New Thought Philly, the website comes up and the meetup, I think, comes up. And they're all cross-connected. They all talk about each other. But newthoughtphilly.org, great home for that.
Yeah, we make sure that we post that inside of the notes for that our audience can take a look at that. And I highly suggest everybody take a look at that because this guy's got some stuff here that's good.
Now, it doesn't seem that you're triggered often, but when you are triggered, how do you get into the prayer to untrigger yourself?
Weather vaning. And that's the weather vane always points in the direction of the wind. And it never points to itself. And when I find myself weather vaning, it's like, it's time to let go of that and go something different. Yeah.
And you just drop in a prayer and that helps you to let go of it?
I remind myself that what I'm doing and what I want to be doing are different. And so let's be a little bit more intentional and stop doing what I don't want to be doing.
Sort of like argumentative prayer, would you say, Bill? Or?
Oh, I'm a great arguer. But yeah, and I'll tell you a little bit about my background, how I came to practical prayer, because I started in New Thought, actually in religious science, when it was International Centers for Spiritual Living. And it was Religious Science International, and then they changed their name to International Centers for Spiritual Living. And I did some training in an independent church that used United Curriculum. And I went back to RSI, and it became ICSL, and the two of them came together. And that's when I went independent, and now part of the affiliated New Thought Network and Emerson Theological Institute. Same teaching, different organization, and have learned a lot more about that. And so practical prayer is the result of me noticing that you'd go into a Center for Spiritual Living and there's two old timers talking to each other and a newbie listening in. And the old friends are saying, oh, I was having such an issue. I went to a practitioner. I got a spiritual mind treatment and I manifested a demonstration. And their friend says, oh, sweetheart, that's wonderful. And the newbie says, what the hell are you talking about? So practical prayer is spiritual mind treatment without the jargon. It's a practical prayer for a real result. If you say, I'm going to go to somebody who does practical prayer and I'm going to get a result, it's like, oh, okay. And then you're going to wind up with a job at SEPTA or, the love of your life. And it takes a lot less explaining. So one of the things in practical prayer is when we notice there's something we don't like in our life, what we want to do is pivot. If I'm seeing the darkness over here, I know that I don't like that. So the first thing I need to do is say, what do I want to have instead? And I want to look towards the light. And when I'm looking towards the light, that's where that transition happens. And the practice for me, this is a really long answer to your question.
No, please go on.
Is noticing that I'm looking into the shadows. noticing that what I'm dealing with, what I'm facing, is not what I want to be facing, and that there's something different to happen.
And do you deny that difference, or how do you get through that?
I go through the whole prayer process once I've identified what it is that I want to have.
Is
You
it
can't pray for what you don't want.
Correct. Is it a 5-step, a 3-step, a 7-step, or is there some type of
or is it even
step?
a step? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Jesus did it in one. Except for one example where he was teaching everybody else how to do a prayer, in which case he did 7. Actually, he did 9. And as far as I'm concerned, a 5-step.
That's 9-step prayer. We talked about that in show 6.
Affirmations work wonderfully, and
Right.
that affirmation is a single-step prayer to claim you're good and have it show up in your life. And what happens is when people are doing just affirmations, like from self-help, they work until they stop working when they run up against the edge of our belief system. At that point, we turn them into a 5-step practical prayer or spiritual mind treatment. And the other 2 steps that come in, if I do my affirmation and say, I am prosperous, and that little voice says, yeah, but there's no money in the bank account, and it's the first of the month coming up. That's my belief system telling me that I don't believe what I just said. So that's where the other 2 steps come in. It's like, that's a false belief. The thought that I don't have any money, I don't deserve any money, I can't have this goodness in my life is not true. That is a falsehood that has been perpetrated upon me. So I'm going to know, and then I repeat my affirmation, that I am prosperous, I have plenty of money, I'm going to easily make the mortgage payment, and continue. And it goes to 9 steps if the little voice comes along and says, no, the credit cards are maxed out. It's like, okay, we're going to go through this two steps again. And then we keep on repeating the cycle until one of 2 things happens. Either we clear that disbelief and the little voice shuts up because it agrees with us now, or we realize this is bigger than what I can believe on my own. So we ratchet it down a little bit, like, okay, so they're not going to take the house this month. Rather than I'm prosperous. Or that's when we go to a practitioner, because the practitioner, somebody else to do the prayer for you, they're not carrying your baggage. They don't have any belief that you don't deserve something because of the childhood that you had. It's like, no, it's fine. It's an infinite universe. We're all one. Great. Let's have some prosperity.
So how has your prayer changed over time from the beginning of understanding it to where you are now?
Wow. I kind of remember when I first learned about this, and it was all brand new. We found a religious science church, and we started doing the Science of Mind 101 in our living room, because the church didn't have their own dedicated space, and I had a 4-year-old. So that actually worked out really well. And so I'm learning this and, just reading the little sample prayers and saying, could this possibly work? And then it did. And I was astounded that it did, and I didn't realize all of the things that I could pray for or how powerful it is. It's actually gotten much more powerful and much simpler as I've gotten more and more into it, because my doubt and disbelief and lack of comprehension has gone away in a huge part.
That's nice.
Yeah. But practice, because when it works, it reinforces your knowledge, your belief that it works, and then it works better.
And what have you known about yourself through this? What changes that you feel are coming up?
For prayer itself, just a more peaceful and powerful feeling within myself. I don't have to struggle nearly as much. There's not as big of an ego fight. It's kind of been going in lockstep with ministry, where I'm doing stuff with and for other people and teaching. So I'm not sure where all of those changes come in. But I notice myself when I'm teaching a practitioner class that I'm saying things and I'm going, did I say that? Wow, that's really good. So, and it becomes, I get, body of work and experience. So, again, living it has changed the experience of it.
So for classes that you're in and for our audience here, how would you explain New Thought to people that don't understand what New Thought is?
My elevator pitch.
Oh, there you
go. Which for anybody who doesn't know what an elevator pitch is you get on the elevator and you're going up to the 11th floor, and somebody says, "What do you do?" And you have until the elevator gets to their floor or the 11th floor to explain it, and they're not going to stick around and continue the conversation. So for me, I have a couple of different versions of it. My favorite is that New Thought is the greatest hits of all the religions. If you want to love like Jesus and meditate like Buddha and pray like Muhammad and believe like Moses, that's a good start towards what New Thought is all about.
Wow, that's a keeper.
That's perfect. I know.
I worked on that for a while.
I was going to say, geez, that's a good spiel there. I like that. And what was the other one? What was the other one? He said he got a couple now.
Oh, yeah, 2 of them, right.
And if you don't remember, that's because sometimes I don't remember.
A lot of times, it's not just what do you do, but somebody will come in with their own perspective on this. And I've got a real fondness at this point for people who are doing Bible-based stuff, because I love the Red Letter Bible. And all the stuff that Jesus said, it's magical. And all the stuff that people said that Jesus said, it's like, where did that come from?
Right.
And so I like to just turn the conversation to, I like to pray like Jesus. I like to do what he does and do healing like Jesus. And depending on, at some point, usually they'll start pushing back. But if they let me, it's like, do you think that you can do healing like Jesus did? And usually people say, well, no, I couldn't do that. I said, well, could Jesus have taught you? And so I don't know. Well, it says right there in the book that he taught the disciples how to do the healings, and they went out and did it. And these were not special people. This was a fisherman and a tax collector. And he said, here's how you do it. Go out on your mission. So we're just doing the same thing. We're doing what Jesus said to do.
It's funny. I can see somebody asking you that question, and you'll say, see that withered fig tree over there? I did that. Hey, do you have a favorite Holmes book that you refer to?
The one that I refer to the most often is the textbook Science of Mind, especially page 52, where it talks about how the law works by appearing not to work, which is just great for somebody who's doubting. When I want warm fuzzies, though, it's This Thing Called You.
Do you like that better than The Thing Called Life?
Because
The Thing Called Life is more of a how-to in our spiritual mind treatment.
The one that they changed the name of. I think This Thing Called You is the one that's still called This Thing Called You. Yeah, because it's so gentle. It's so warm and fuzzy. And Holmes did a lot of work. He was talking about law, and he was trying to make it seem scientific, and it has a certain coldness to it. And when he opened up the fuzzies and he talked about love, it was uplifting and captivating.
Yeah, and he was amazed that people did not know about love, so he had to talk about it. Yeah. Do you have a favorite quote from him?
Nothing's coming to mind right now.
Yeah,
I mean, I do. I have lots of them, but
Rule 52 is usually the favorite of most Science of Mind people because it's the one that applies everything.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, besides the Science of Mind and This Thing Called You, what other book would you suggest to our audience?
Well, your own book.
Well, of course, my book. I wasn't going to a plug yet, yes, but I mean, if you wanted to talk about a book, there's Practical Prayer for Real Results available on Amazon. The one that I find myself turning to the most often, interestingly, is You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay, which has the big table in the middle. And when I first saw that book, I would look at, so here's the symptom, and here's the false belief that caused it. You go, And then I realized this isn't about blame. I should really be focusing on the third column, which is the affirmation that we use instead. And, we'll be doing a Power of 8 intention circle, and somebody will be talking about a challenge that they have, or I'm working with a practitioner client or a student, and they'll be talking about an issue, and I'll get an idea in my mind about the metaphysical cause of whatever it is that's going on. And I'll check the Louise Hay book to see what she said about it, and sometimes agree, and sometimes disagree, but it's a wonderful resource. So I find myself turning to that a lot.
So when you're doing prayer yourself, and we know that we only do really prayer for ourselves, and then it ripples out to the universe. What is the spiritual mind treatment that you see? I mean, do you release it into law, or do you know it when you're saying it, when you're speaking your word of truth to yourself? I mean, you have a different way of looking at it with the way that you have it, but it's valid. But I want to hear what you have to say about that, if you could.
My perspective is that the law is always responding. The creative law is always creating, and it is always responding to conscious intention. It's responding to, and I've stopped saying intention. I've started saying invitation. Because what we're doing is we're opening a possibility in consciousness. We're digging a little channel that the river can flow through. We're not carrying all the water through the river ourselves. And so speaking the word and having it land on that creative law are both the same thing. There's really no difference in my mind. So I release it into the law to remind myself that I don't have to keep thinking this. I've already thought it. It's done. The law's working. I can get out the way.
What do you put in its place? A lot of times psychology teaches us, and Holmes teaches us in a 7-step prayer, that when we deny power something, and then we put something in its place. What would be your thought for something neutral into place, or just allow God to deal with it? What are your thoughts?
In a 7-step prayer, the second to last one is always a repeat of the affirmation, whatever it was the good that I was claiming. That right after I claimed it the first time, my belief system said no. So my refutation, which I use instead of denial, because denial got a really bad rap in the 70s and 80s about being in denial. So the refutation is just saying there's no truth to this. This is a false belief. This is a wrong idea. This is a shadow. There's a light in here someplace, and I'm going to get whatever the blockage is out of the way so the light can shine. And as soon as the light is shining, I'm going to shut up.
Wow.
Right. And before the show, we were talking about your one-word prayer. Can you talk more about that? That's
the
powerful.
One-step prayer? Or?
The one-word prayer. The yes.
Oh, well, that's the law. The law is always saying yes.
Yeah.
The law only has one answer. And I've been doing this podcast called the Practical Prayer Podcast. How's that for a clever new name? And I've been thinking about doing this for years. And if I did it with somebody who's in New Thought, another religious science minister, we'd have about 12 episodes because we just agree on everything. There's been nothing left to talk about. I tried doing it with my daughter, and it was interesting, but it got kind of vanilla. And then out of the blue, out of nowhere, in response to what I didn't realize at the time was a prayer, my co-host showed up. And she's a woman who had spent 35 years as a Christian pastor, 3 different denominations, and she grew up in a 4th. So she had Christianity in her bones, and then she found New Thought. And then she was ruined. So we started doing this podcast together. And she started reminding me that in what she calls traditional religion, God doesn't just say yes. That law doesn't always respond to our intention. It says yes, or it says no, or it says not now. And then the whole game becomes ascribing to God the reason that you got the no or the not now instead of the yes. It's like all in God's time, or I don't deserve it, or you've done something wrong, or you've displeased the infinite, or all of these things that personalize the experience. And it is so simple when we realize that God only has one answer. That infinite creative power is always saying yes. And it makes it so simple. God, if somebody says, well, there's something hidden in my belief system. How can I tell what I believe? So I look at your life. Your life is a life-size topographical map of your belief system. You want to see what you believe? Look at your life. You want to change your life? Don't go out and change the map. Change what you believe about the map.
So we're at the 2-minute mark because I got really enthralled with you, Bill. What takeaway would you like your audience to take away from this show today?
The answer is yes. You can do it. Practice, practice, practice. And join in. Yes, you can get yourself a copy of the Practical Prayer book. For me, it'd be even more entertaining if you drop by one of the daily meditations. or do a trial subscription to God calls, just to dip your toe and see what's going on. And there's something different. Along the way, I get to talk to you about the affiliated New Thought Network, where I'm the administrator, or the Emerson Institute, where I find myself being the president of the board of trustees, or the International New Thought Alliance, or the other things that are everything that Centers for Spiritual Living and Science of Mind are, and even bigger and a wider group.
And there's more.
No, this is fantastic. Thank you so much for being here.
It is wonderful to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, let's go ahead, and if you would pray us out, and then hold on, we forgot this. I'm Reverend Rich. This is Reverend
Paul,
and we are Prayers Radio, and we're going to have the pray out right now by our good friend. So,
God knows that love is unfolding. God knows that there is good right here and right now. In fact, that's all there is. There is only God. Everything, everywhere is that one divine creative power that creates everything. It is the beginning, the center, the circumference, and the end of all. That divine power and presence is in everything, in everyone, everywhere. It is me. It is each one who is within the sound of my voice right now. That divine goodness is sharing itself even more fully. That bright light of love is shining even more brightly. And our lives are uplifted, and we are blessed, and good, and more good is unfolding. And the cool thing is, there is nothing that stands in the way of this good. This blessing is underway now, and I'm grateful for it. And I let it be, and I know it's so. And so it is.
And so it is.
That was awesome.
That was great.
So we let's see. We did the plug. Got your book in. Got your site and the show notes.
We got the RPM. We're good to go.
And we say yes. So we say thank you again to our wonderful guest, Reverend Dr. Bob. I'm not going to mess up your last name.
Bill.
See, I always mess up.
You missed up the beginning part. You were going to get Marchiony perfect.
You're absolutely right. Thank you again, Bill. We appreciate you, and hopefully we'll have you on again sometime. So everybody say bye.
Bye.